The fork clattered against the ceramic plate with a sound that seemed to echo through the suddenly silent dining room. Adaora's hand had frozen mid-air, trembling slightly as her father's words replayed in her mind like a broken record. Her heart pounded so loudly she was certain everyone could hear it. "So, did the money I sent every month help you focus on your studies?" her father had asked, his warm smile still lingering on his face, completely unaware of the bomb he just detonated. Adaora's mouth went dry. She could feel every pair of eyes in the room turning toward her, waiting for her response. The jollof rice she'd been enjoying moments ago now sat heavy in her stomach like a stone. "What money?" The words came out as barely a whisper, but in the suffocating silence of that moment, they might as well have been a scream. Her father's smile faltered. His eyebrows drew together in confusion. "The money I've been sending, every month for the past 4 years. Through Uju, of course." Time seemed to slow down as Adaora's gaze shifted from her father to her stepmother. Madame Uju sat perfectly still, her fork suspended over her plate, her expression frozen in what could only be described as panic masked by confusion. "Papa?" Adaora said slowly, her voice gaining strength despite the tremor running through her body. "I never received any money from you. Not once in 4 years." The silence that followed was deafening. Her younger half-sister Kayamika looked between them with wide, confused eyes. Mr. Okeke's face had drained of color, his mouth opening and closing as if he couldn't quite process what he'd just heard. That's impossible," he stammered, turning to his wife. "Uju, what is she talking about?" Madame Uju let out a nervous laugh that sounded like glass breaking. "Adaora, what kind of joke is this? Your father has been so generous, sending you money every single month, and this is how you—" "I said I never received it." Adaora's voice rose, years of suppressed pain and confusion suddenly rushing to the surface. "Do you know how many times I called home begging for help? Do you know how many meals I skipped because I couldn't afford to eat?" Mr. Okeke stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "Uju, explain this. Now." "She's lying." Uju's voice had taken on a shrill quality. "She's just trying to cause trouble between us. You know how ungrateful young people can be these days." "I have proof," Adaora interrupted, her hands shaking as she reached for her phone. "Every text message, every call I made begging for help. Every time you told me Papa had moved on with his new life and didn't care about me anymore." The color that had drained from Mr. Okeke's face was now replaced by a deep red flush. "She told you what?" Adaora's fingers fumbled with her phone, scrolling through years of messages. She found the folder she'd labeled Home and began reading aloud, her voice cracking with emotion. "December 2021. Auntie Uju, please, I need help with my hostel fees. They're threatening to throw me out. Your response? Your father is busy. You need to learn to stand on your own." She scrolled further. March 2022. "Please, I haven't eaten a proper meal in 3 days. Can Papa send something? Anything? Your response? Stop disturbing us with your constant begging. Your father has enough responsibilities." With each message she read, Mr. Okeke's expression darkened further. His hands were clenched into fists at his sides, his breathing heavy and labored. "That's enough," he said quietly, but his voice carried the weight of a thunderstorm. He turned to Uju, and for the first time since Adaora had known her father to remarry, she saw him look at his wife with something close to rage. "I asked you to do one simple thing. One thing. Take care of my daughter. Send her the money I gave you every month." "I can explain," Uju started, but Mr. Okeke held up his hand. "How much?" he demanded. "How much did I give you to send to her?" Uju's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. I don't remember the exact. 50,000 naira, every single month, for 48 months. That's 2,400,000 naira. His voice was rising with each word. "Where is it, Uju? Where is my daughter's money?" The mask of composure that Madame Uju had been desperately trying to maintain finally cracked completely. "You don't understand. This house needed things. The children needed things. I was trying to manage everything and you were always traveling, always working. So you stole from my daughter? The words came out like a whip crack. You made her suffer, made her think I had abandoned her. So you could do what? Buy new jewelry? A new car? Adaora felt tears streaming down her face as years of pain and confusion suddenly made horrible sense. You told me he didn't care anymore. You told me he'd forgotten about me. I believed you. And you? Mr. Okeke turned back to his wife, his voice shaking with barely controlled fury. You told me she never called, never said thank you, that she was ungrateful and didn't appreciate what I was doing for her. You made me believe my own daughter had turned her back on me. Kayamika had started crying, her young face confused and frightened by the explosion of emotions around her. Adaora wanted to comfort her sister, but she couldn't move, couldn't do anything but sit there as years of lies unraveled in front of her. Papa, I tried so hard, Adaora whispered through her tears. I worked part-time jobs even though it affected my studies. I borrowed money from friends. I ate once a day, sometimes not at all. And all that time I thought you just didn't love me anymore after you remarried. The sound that came from Mr. Okeke's throat was somewhere between a sob and a growl. He moved around the table and pulled Adaora into his arms, holding her as she finally let years of pain pour out. I'm so sorry, he kept repeating, his own voice thick with tears. I'm so sorry, my daughter. I failed you. I should have checked. I should have called you directly. I should have known something was wrong. Over her father's shoulder, Adaora watched as Madame Uju slowly stood up, her face a mixture of defiance and fear. This is ridiculous. You're all being dramatic. So what if I used some of the money? I run this household. I deserve. Get out. Mr. Okeke's voice was cold and flat as he released Adaora and turned to face his wife. Get out of my sight before I do something I'll regret. You can't be serious. I'm your wife. You're a thief and a liar. Get out. Now. Madame Uju's face twisted with rage. Fine. But don't think this is over. You'll regret this. Both of you will regret this. She grabbed Kayamika's hand, pulling the crying child with her as she stormed out of the dining room. The slam of the bedroom door echoed through the house moments later. In the aftermath of Uju's departure, father and daughter stood in the wreckage of their family dinner. The food growing cold on the table, the warm atmosphere completely shattered. I need to show you something else, Adaora said quietly after a moment. I didn't want to believe it myself, but after what just happened, Mr. Okeke looked at her with exhausted eyes. What else could there possibly be? Come with me. Adaora led her father to his study, a room she'd noticed Madame Uju always kept locked when he was away. Today, in the chaos of preparing for the family dinner, it had been left open. She'd seen something earlier that had made her stomach turn, but she'd pushed it aside, not wanting to believe what it might mean. Now, she pulled open the bottom drawer of her father's desk and retrieved a manila folder. Inside were bank statements, property documents, and legal papers. She spread them across the desk with shaking hands. I found these this afternoon when I was looking for a pen, she explained. Papa, look at these bank transfers. They all show money going to an account under my name, but look at the account number. Mr. Okeke leaned closer, squinting at the documents. His face paled once again. This isn't your account number. No, it's hers. She opened an account in my name and had all the transfers sent there. And look at these. Adaora pointed to the property documents. The house in Enugu that belonged to your mother. The land in the village. They've all been transferred to her name. The dates are from the past 2 years. Mr. Okeke sank into his chair, looking suddenly much older than his 58 years. How did I not see this? How did I become so blind? She was clever, Adaora said softly, sitting on the edge of the desk. She isolated you from me so I couldn't tell you what was really happening. She made you think I didn't care about you so you wouldn't reach out directly. She kept you busy with work and travel while she slowly took control of everything. But why? Why would she do this? Before Adaora could answer, Kayamika appeared in the doorway, her face tear-streaked and frightened. Papa? Sister Adaora? Mama is packing her things. She's on the phone with Uncle Tony, the lawyer. She's saying things about the house and property, and I don't understand what's happening. Brother and sister exchanged glances. Uncle Tony? Mr. Okeke asked, his voice tight. Adaora's jaw clenched. The same lawyer whose business card I found in that folder. The one who filed all the property transfers. The implications hung heavy in the air. Mr. Okeke stood up slowly, his face set with grim determination. Kayamika, sweetheart, go to your room. Lock the door. Don't come out until I call for you, understand? The young girl nodded and scurried away. Once she was gone, Mr. Okeke turned to Adaora. I need to call my lawyer. Tonight. And tomorrow we're going to the bank to straighten out every single one of these accounts and transfers. Papa, there's more, Adaora said hesitantly. Look at the dates on these documents. Most of them were filed in the past 6 months. Right around the time you started complaining about chest pains and went for those heart tests. Understanding dawned on Mr. Okeke's face, followed by a look of profound betrayal. She thought I was dying. She was preparing to take everything. I'm sorry, Papa. I'm so sorry. He pulled her into another embrace. No, you have nothing to apologize for. You saved me, my daughter. You saved both of us. He held her at arm's length, looking into her eyes with an intensity that reminded her of when she was a child and he'd made her promises he'd always kept. I will make this right. All of it. The money you should have had, the suffering you endured, the years we lost. I will make it right. The sound of a car engine starting outside interrupted them. They rushed to the window just in time to see Madame Uju's new car speeding out of the compound, packed with suitcases. Let her go, Mr. Okeke said quietly. Let her run. My lawyers will find her, and she'll answer for every naira she stole, every lie she told, every moment of pain she caused. That night, father and daughter sat together in the living room long after Kayamika had fallen asleep. They talked about everything, the years of silence, the miscommunication, the pain on both sides. Mr. Okeke showed her the receipts he'd kept of every transfer, believing his money was helping his daughter pursue her dreams. Adaora showed him photos from her university years, the ones where her smile didn't reach her eyes, where her clothes were worn and her face was thin from missed meals. I should have known, he kept saying. I should have seen the signs. She was good at hiding them, Adaora replied. And I was too hurt to push harder to reach you. I thought if you really cared, you'd find a way to contact me directly. I thought I was respecting your space, giving you independence. Uju convinced me that young people needed room to grow, that I was being too overbearing by wanting to call you all the time. He laughed bitterly. I see now it was all part of her plan. Keep us apart so we couldn't compare stories. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Mr. Okeke made a decision. You're never going back to that apartment. I'm setting up a proper account for you today, in your name only. And I'm hiring a private investigator to track down every naira Uju stole. She won't get away with this. 3 weeks later, Adaora sat in her father's car outside her university, preparing for her final project defense. The past weeks had been a whirlwind of legal meetings, bank visits, and tearful reconciliations. Madame Uju had been found staying with the lawyer, Uncle Tony, and was now facing fraud charges. The property transfers had been reversed. The stolen money, or at least most of it, had been recovered and placed in Adaora's account. Are you ready? Mr. Okeke asked, squeezing her hand. Adaora looked at her father, really looked at him, and saw not just the parent who had unknowingly failed her, but the man who had fought to make things right. I'm ready, Papa. After her successful defense, they sat in a small restaurant near campus, sharing a quiet lunch. It was simple, nothing like the elaborate family dinner that had started everything, but it felt more real, more honest. Adaora raised her glass of Chapman. To truth, she said softly, no matter how late it arrives. Mr. Okeke clinked his glass against hers, his eyes misty. To truth, and to never letting anyone come between us again. As they drove back home later that evening, Adaora watched the sunset through the car window and felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Peace. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be court dates and difficult conversations with Kayamika about her mother's actions. There would be healing to do and trust to rebuild. But for the first time in 4 years, Adaora knew she wasn't alone. That one question at a family dinner, "Did the money help?" had shattered a web of lies and freed both father and daughter from years of manipulation. Sometimes, Adaora thought, the truth arrives at exactly the moment it's meant to, even if that moment tears everything apart before it can heal. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is look someone in the eye and ask, "What money?" Because the answer to that question can change everything. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of the importance of family communication, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more powerful stories. Have you ever experienced a moment where everything changed because of one simple question? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's going through something similar. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Until then, remember, the truth may hurt, but lies hurt more in the long